Many crypto experts out there, analysts, insiders, and just people with general opinions are kind of arriving at this consensus that there's going to be one final leg up for this bull run. Now, that also suggests that we should see an altcoin season as well. However, the market has certainly changed, and it doesn't feel like previous cycles, previous bull runs, and so it's probably not going to be that easy anymore to find the next 100x gem. There are all kinds of different reasons for this. One example is distribution. There are just too many coins out there, too many projects. Meme coins also sucked a lot of liquidity out of the market. So let's try to approach this more conservatively. And instead of chasing the potential 100x, 2, 3, 4, 500x token, let's be happy with a 10x. That is still a phenomenal return, by the way. Maybe not compared to previous crypto standards, but by any other measure, a 10x is pretty good. So let's consider the best of the best altcoins, those that are still relatively young, but have a very promising, very strong future, a lot of potential, and just to seem to be doing everything right. Let's look at those altcoin gems that are most likely to 10x at the tail end of this bull run. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest, whether that's into these altcoins or others. I genuinely wish you very, very well. Just remember that I am not a financial or investment advisor, which means by extension that this video is not official financial or investment advice. To kick off here, my first 10x altcoin pick is ONDO Finance and its ONDO token. With ONDO, this is a familiar favorite. If you're a regular on the channel, you know that this is in the RWA sector, real world assets, which is certainly one of, if not the hottest sector and the hottest narrative in crypto right now. And ONDO Finance in particular is getting lots of attention right now, but it's more than just hype. It's getting that attention really for all the right reasons. For example, their team was recently in talks with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC Crypto Task Force. This is where they discussed tokenization and the future of digital asset regulation. So that's a pretty big deal. ONDO takes regulation quite seriously because they want clear regulation for RWA and more broadly, the crypto sector in general. Regulation is super important to them because ONDO is attractive to institutions. Part of their strategy, don't forget, is Wall Street 2.0. And these are their global markets. Just keep in mind that they're not yet available in the United States. Right now, there are thousands upon thousands of tokenized coins. And on their global markets, these are all backed one-to-one by bonds, stocks, and ETFs. And then as you may know, in addition to that, they do have their own two flagship stablecoins. First is USDY and OUSG. Now, these are both yield coins. Both are also backed by short-term US treasuries. However, the distinction here and the kicker is that they both offer non-stop on-chain yield. Currently, ONDO has over 150,000 holders. And as a project, take this with a grain of salt, but ONDO claims to hold 85% of the entire tokenized US Treasury market. And so ONDO's TVL is significant. It is $1 billion. But keep in mind that the stock market is 64,000 times bigger than that. So you can kind of get a sense here of the potential that ONDO and its products have. Also, another big piece of news that has recently come out of ONDO is that it now offers a first of its kind bridging solution for tokenized real world assets to Solana. That's significant. And as I record right now, the price of ONDO is down. It's pretty much down this quarter. We're looking at the last 3 months. There's a clear downtrend that can be observed. We're at 83.7 cents right now with a market cap of $2.6 billion. This is a little more than 2 times away from its all-time high, which was $2.14. In other words, this is probably a pretty good entry, especially if you're of the opinion that ONDO could blast through that previous all-time high in this bull run, get into price discovery territory. I think it's very possible. In fact, I think looking to break the previous all-time high is a very conservative price estimate, especially if you consider the trajectory of RWAs as a market and just how much it's expected to grow. I think if you give this one enough time as a project, it's going to go well beyond that $2.14 mark. For a more in-view depth of ONDO and really a deep dive analysis into that project, take a look at this recent video. I'll include its link in the description below. This spotlight video is sponsored by Walrus Protocol, which has the fastest solution for data storage on the market today. And of course, it's from the team behind SUI.
And it's a potential Filecoin killer because it does, quite frankly, a lot of things that Filecoin cannot.
And it's climbing up the market cap rankings too in the top 100.
One thing is that it's so resilient that even with only a few nodes operating, your data availability won't be affected. Decentralized data storage on Walrus is solving a pretty big problem that many blockchains suffer from. That's poor coordination, and it affects you more than you may realize. Walrus protocol has some pretty big advantages with SUI and the Move programming language over other decentralized data providers. The problem, as they see it, is coordination. That's making sure if a protocol does three things, that those things work seamlessly with each other. Also, the protocol needs to work with other projects in the ecosystem and with the blockchain infrastructure, like validators.
Walrus has some new partners too, like Klanosaurs and Seal for security and privacy management. The Walrus mainnet and WAL token launch are a huge success. And to stay updated on mainnet activities and other news, make sure to follow Walrus Protocol's X account and their other socials. Check out the link in the description of this video below for more information. At number 2 on our list here is the SUI Network and the SUI token. This is an ecosystem that is really on fire right now. SUI also recently held its base camp in Dubai. This happened during the 1st and the 2nd of May. We covered that actually, and we saw some pretty exciting announcements that came out of this base camp event. A couple of the important headlines here included Stacks, which integrated with its SBTC into SUI's DeFi ecosystem. This is a big deal because it unlocks almost $2 trillion of Bitcoin liquidity. And I say that because you can now use your native Bitcoin in the growing BTCFI sector of SUI. That's a sector alone that grew 4 times during Q1 of 2025, which was very underwhelming and very lackluster for most projects out there, really for the entirety of crypto. But here's something that quadrupled during that time, Q1 2025. Bitcoin already took hold of 10% of SUI's TVL as well. However, this Bitcoin TVL just blasted past $200 million. SUI also introduced a new stablecoin called Game Dollar. This is a programmable stablecoin for gaming on SUI. And of course, that implies functionality. So for example, you can use it on their SUI Play handheld device, which, by the way, given that we're on the topic right now, has sold out. The SUI Play has sold out with 10,000 units pre-ordered. It saw its first public exposure during Basecamp, and it was a big hit by everybody's account. People just want to try it out. It's been doing super well, so this is one to keep an eye on, certainly. We also have the Solana Blue Chip NFT collection, Klanosaurs, which will now be available on SUI. Their first public mint is going to be Popkins Unleashed. And then, of course, we also saw another recent Solana integration with the Backpack wallet. Now, I mentioned that Basecamp occurred on the 1st and 2nd of May, but before that all started in Dubai, SUI already saw a massive 70% price increase, and this was largely on the back of a Pokemon rumor. Pokemon, for context, launched a new digital souvenir collection called Metals. It's really just another name for NFTs, non-fungible tokens, but without revealing that they are, in fact, functionally NFTs. Now, it may well be that SUI is part of these metals. However, as of right now, as I speak, we have neither SUI nor Pokemon who have confirmed this officially. The current price of SUI is down on the day. We're sitting at $3.20. We have seen kind of a small pullback across the board today, at least as I record. But I do believe that the price of SUI is ready to break out. After this pullback, chances are it's going to take off. We're not all that far away from its previous all-time high of just above $5. A 10x is very realistic for this project. If you take a look at their ambitions, you take a look at their roadmap, you consider all that they're doing well. This is pretty much a AAA altcoin. This is as good as it gets in the altcoin space as far as a project, what it's doing, and how it's being managed. Last but not least here, we're looking at PLUME Network, whose ticker is PLUME. And with this project, we are firmly back in the RWA sector. And if you exclude Stellar and Chainlink, then ONDO certainly has the largest market cap among RWA projects. By the way, we're excluding Stellar and Chainlink because those are infrastructure plays that are only technically RWA projects, but ONDO is a pure RWA play. And then in contrast to that, the leader in the space, we have PLUME Network, which is mid-size in terms of its market cap. So a higher risk for sure, but also a higher potential ROI. And if we consider ONDO again, they mainly target institutions, whereas PLUME is actually aiming for both. They offer more features aimed at the retail market. Plume has, for example, its own blockchain, and RWAs ask for specific features that many existing chains just cannot deliver. As a result of that, it has its own chain, which offers 3 core components. There's the Plume Passport. This is Plume's RWAFI wallet, which covers all protocols over 18 on Plume for lending, trading, and really everything that Plume offers. The Passport has built-in compliance and is gas-free. Then there is ARC. This is their tokenization engine, and you can tokenize everything within minutes. It's currently under development. However, it should go live really any time now. Expect that imminently as an announcement. And ARC should bring at least $4 billion worth of RWAs on chain. Just for example here in private credit, but also energy transition, global government bonds, royalty assets, and other categories as well. And lastly, we have Nexus, which is Plume's data provider or Oracle solution. On-chain dApps cannot communicate with the real world, and that's where oracles come to the rescue. So this works together with various well-established oracle providers, Supra, for example, which is a cross-chain oracle. And then Nexus also powers Cultured. This is a prediction market. The current price of PLUME is down on the day, as with most other projects today as I record. We're at 16.3 cents right now with a market cap, like I said, in the mid-range, $325.9 million. So we are seeing this kind of pullback that has been initiated, arguably before the final bull leg run kind of starts in earnest here. But that is the consensus, at least. Right now is still a pretty good entry. Again, relatively low market cap, plenty of room for growth here. This is another project that's doing a lot of the right things, while it's still kind of a modest size. And it's noteworthy that Plume also has its own stablecoin, that's PUSD. And this is very important because it's going to play a prominent role in Plume's RWAFI ecosystem.